thought, and I gotta own it, that these tariffs were going to fucking sink this economy by this time, and they didn't. So, how do we deal with that fact?
Bill Maher, once a proud flag bearer of liberal orthodoxy and a relentless critic of Donald Trump, just flipped the script. He didn't just challenge progressive talking points, he torched them. In a move few saw coming, Maher defended Trump, dismantled leftist narratives, and forced a reckoning within his own tribe. Is this a personal awakening, or the start of a broader liberal unraveling? One thing's clear, the ideological fortress the left built around itself is starting to crack, and Maher just fired the first shot.
People were saying at the beginning, by the 4th of July, somebody had to think how the economy was going to be tanked by then. And I was kind of like, well, that seems right to me, but that didn't happen.
Pause everything, because Maher deserves serious credit. In a political climate where admitting Trump got anything right is heresy, Maher broke ranks. He acknowledged the unthinkable. The Trump-era economy wasn't the catastrophe we were promised by the media machine. Remember the panic over tariffs and trade wars? The doomers on cable news were practically cheering for collapse. But when disaster didn't come, they didn't correct themselves, they shifted the narrative. Maher called them out, exposing the media's refusal to admit even one Trump success. In today's progressive echo chamber, truth has a cost, and Maher just paid it.
Tomorrow? I'm just saying, That's reality. So let's work first from the reality of that, not from I just hate Donald Trump. Because that's boring and doesn't get us anywhere and leads you to dishonesty.
Here it is, the brutal truth, delivered by someone from the inside. Maher didn't just critique the left, he exposed the rot at its core. It's not about policies anymore, it's about power, illusion, and narrative control. The left would rather see the country suffer under Trump than admit he got anything right. That's not strategy, it's sabotage. And while working-class Americans endure the fallout, elites pat themselves on the back. Maher's warning is clear, the left's addiction to dishonesty is costing them everything: credibility, connection, and the people they claim to fight for. America sees it. Maher sees it. And the left? Still pretending it's 2016.
You know what his strategy is? But look, your shot doing nothing, not engaging, has zero chance. Mine, this guy, I'm telling you, I know this cat a lot better than I did before. He's a people person. He talks to people. You have to keep the lines open. The stupidest thing the left does, and this dinner is a perfect example of it, is having this attitude toward the right that we won't even break bread with you. We are so far above you that we won't even sit down at the same table.
Want to know why the left keeps losing ground? It's the arrogance. That smug, sanctimonious attitude that screams, "We're smarter than you," and alienates anyone living outside a coastal zip code. Maher's warning is crystal clear: demonize Trump voters, and you alienate half the country. But the left doesn't want unity, they want submission. From their academic towers and media bubbles, they paint millions of Americans as villains for daring to think differently. Newsflash, these are real people, with real struggles, not punchlines for your next MSNBC panel. Maher gets it. He's trying to preserve what's left of civil discourse. Meanwhile, Democrats are marching themselves into the political graveyard. Relics of a movement that forgot how to talk to anyone but itself.
Their attitude, and that makes me sick too. I'm glad I break bread, and what makes them hate the left so much. They think that they're deplorables. We're deplorables, and you won't even sit down to dinner with us. Well, good luck. See how far that gets.
This one's personal. Maher didn't just talk politics, he lived the backlash. His crime? Having a meal with Trump. And just like that, he was branded a traitor by the liberal orthodoxy. The message was clear: dialogue is betrayal. But Maher stood his ground. Because this isn't about Trump, it's about a culture that punishes independent thought. The modern left doesn't want conversation. It wants control. And if you step an inch outside the script, you're labeled a monster. That kind of ideological purity test is turning people away in droves. Maher sees it. He's exhausted by the intolerance, the groupthink, the cancel first ask later politics. And in calling it out, he's trying to save a party hellbent on destroying itself.
And let's look at their net favorable ratings. Whoa. Woof. I mean, my God, we mentioned CNN. We had that poll come out a little while ago on their net favorable rating. They were 26 points underwater. You think that's low enough? How about we go even lower? We'll go to this side of the screen. I'm going to walk over here. We go to the Wall Street Journal, minus 30 points underwater.
If media bias was a sport, the legacy press would be undefeated champions, and Maher just laid them out. The coverage of Trump has gone beyond criticism. It's turned into parody. He breathes, they scream apocalypse. He speaks, they cry fascism. Maher, a media veteran himself, sees the absurdity. The press didn't just lose objectivity, they lost their minds. In their obsession with destroying Trump, they torched their own credibility. And now, no one believes them. Maher's not defending Trump for the sake of politics. He's defending sanity. He's calling out a media complex that traded journalism for clickbait and turned itself into a laughingstock. The left-wing media didn't just overplay their hand, they nuked the table.
The spirit of it is something that if someone with the blue hat said it, people would nod along on the left. Yes, exactly.
There's plenty of things he says that you don't have to invent them.
Can I just say one thing? And I agree with you. All those criticisms are fair. But there's been a lot of violence, as Nancy Pelosi knows, and a lot of threats.
Let's talk about the left's favorite chronic condition, Trump derangement syndrome, and yes, it's terminal. Maher's diagnosis? A massive overdose of hysteria and zero self-awareness. He's been sounding the alarm for years, the all-consuming obsession with Trump already blew up in 2016, and it's about to do it again. You can't run a campaign on rage. You can't build a party on panic attacks over tweets. Maher is practically begging his side to snap out of it. Stop crashing the car and blaming the map. Trump isn't the disease, he's the symptom. The real problem is a party that traded strategy for screaming matches. This isn't just political commentary. It's a warning. And if the left keeps ignoring it, they're done.
Make of the statement, I woke up today to the headline that Trump had called for a firing squad for Liz Cheney. And this is what I really don't like about the media. No, he didn't.
He did not.
You don't have to move me to not like Donald Trump.
He says more so many shitty things. Why do you have to do that?
And by the way, if Pete don't realize it, well, here's what he said. He's criticizing him for being a war hawk. I mean, she is Dick Cheney's daughter. He said, she's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay. Let's see how she feels about it. You know, they're all war hawks when they're sitting in Washington in a nice building saying, oh gee, we'll send tens of thousands of troops right into the mouth of the enemy.
Say it louder for the delusional elite in the back. The Democratic Party isn't transforming, it's falling apart. Maher doesn't mince words here. The left has overdosed on wokeness, and the crash is coming. We're talking pronoun battles, cancel crusades, and virtue signaling that would make a cult leader blush. It's theater, not governance. And voters? They've had enough. Maher, a lifelong liberal, sees it plain as day. Americans want jobs, stability, and a grip on reality, not rainbow flags in war zones and lectures about TikTok identity trends. While the left claps for itself on social media, the ground is crumbling beneath them. Maher's throwing them a lifeline. The question is, will they even notice before it's too late?
Really significant is happening right here. And it goes back to President Trump. When he ran for office again, he ran directly at these legacy national broadcasters. And for years, people cowed down to the executives behind these companies based in Hollywood, in New York, and they just accepted that these national broadcasters could dictate how people think about topics, that they could set the narrative for the country. And President Trump fundamentally rejected it. He smashed the facade that these are gatekeepers that can determine what people think.
Stephen Colbert, once the crown jewel of late-night comedy, just got the axe. Why? Because his Trump obsession became unwatchable. Maher holds this up as Exhibit A in his takedown of the left's scorched earth strategy. Colbert turned his show into a 24/7 Trump hate fest, and audiences tuned out. Ratings tanked, the network did the math, and suddenly, virtue signaling wasn't profitable anymore. Maher's warning is clear: alienate everyone who disagrees with you, and you don't have a party, you have a cult with a microphone and no listeners. Politics isn't a purity test. You can't cancel half the country and expect to win. Maher sees where this ends, and he's trying to steer them away from the cliff. But the question is, are they already airborne?
Everything that we're seeing right now flows from that decision by President Trump, and he's winning. I mean, look, PBS has been defunded. NPR has been defunded. CBS is committing to restoring fact-based journalism. And you see it, everything from, Joy Reid is gone at MSNBC. All these things aren't isolated pinpricks. They go back to this emperor has no clothes moment where President Trump stood up to these legacy media gatekeepers, and now their business models are falling apart.
Trump's true legacy wasn't the wall or the tariffs, it was the war he launched against the legacy media. And Maher, to his credit, admits Trump won that battle. Trump pulled back the curtain and showed America the spin, the hypocrisy, the carefully crafted narratives. And once people saw it, they couldn't unsee it. Every sketchy headline, every anonymous leak, every clipped quote, it all fed a growing distrust. Trump didn't just challenge the press, he broke their spell. Maher doesn't like Trump's delivery, but he respects the result. Because maybe, just maybe, that table needed flipping. And Trump flipped it so hard, the whole country started paying attention.